Have you ever considered the difference between a locked and an unlocked four-wheel drive in an off-road situation? Well, as well as those two options, you really should consider a third option of having electronic traction control. Now, we've lined up a test here with 3 Toyota Prados. The first has open diffs, the second has factory electronic traction control, and the third vehicle has ARB air lockers fitted to it. To make this test fair, all 3 Prados are automatic, turbo diesel, and they all have the standard size tyres fitted to them. We've aired each tyre down so they're all running the same pressure, so there's no advantage of one vehicle over another. This vehicle has an open front diff and a limited slip diff on the rear, which doesn't really help too much in an off-road situation. 55 grand gets you a GXL. 75 grand gets you a Grande. 20 grand extra. There's a lot of cash to dish out. It's got, as standard, electronic traction control. It actually works on the braking system. So as you're trying to drive and the system senses there's a loss of traction, it tries to brake individual wheels to send drive to the opposite side of the axle. All great in theory, but in practice out in the mud and especially sand, the system can be left wanting a little and you can become stuck. Thirdly, we've got a GXL, 55 grand, the same as the first one. It's got fitted front and rear ARB air lockers. Now, we've got Daniel Bongard from ARB in Melbourne to explain the intricacies of how the system actually works. Daniel, thanks for joining us, mate. Big drive up from Melbourne in the Prado.
Good to be here, Mark.
Mate, can you explain to us the intricacies of how your ARB air locker system works?
You use the term intricate. It's actually a very simple system, an air locker. What we have is a replacement differential for the factory ones as you listed before that has essentially a mechanical deadlock inside that locks any axle movement between one wheel and the other, and thus preventing that situation where you have a spinning wheel.
Daniel, we see ARB air lockers fitted to a lot of comp vehicles that are climbing up impossible mountains and over big boulders and things like that. Is there much of a market for touring vehicles like this for an ARB air locker?
Well, actually, most of the market for air locker is in people with touring vehicles like these who simply want to improve the safety and capability of their vehicle for everyday off-road and camping trips.
So depending on exactly what type of four-wheel drive you have will depend on where the buttons have been located for your air lockers, whether they be on the dash or up your centre console. Now, Daniel, the Prado that we've got here has got all 3 buttons on the centre console.
Yeah, correct. Most vehicles actually come with cutouts for buttons that you don't have, like this one here. The Prado also had 3 across the back, and our buttons are cut to the exact same size as most standard automotive cutouts.
So it's a professional looking finish at the end of the day.
That's right, it's a factory look.
Yeah. Can you explain to us what the 3 buttons do?
Well, to get your air locker system ready for use, all you have to do is simply turn that compressor on. That means the compressor under the bonnet is charged up to the pressure it needs to be to drive the differentials. Then as you need to in different traction situations, you can turn the front and rear lockers on independently by simply switching the switch. You'll hear the compressor come on as I do this.
Yep.
And then the front the same way.
We'll go out and have a look at where your air compressor is fitted under your bonnet.
Okay.
So Daniel, this is your new air compressor?
Yeah, this is our CKMA12. To start with, we've moisture sealed it front to back, so water can't get into any of the components, which is good for water crossings or any exposure to bad weather. We've also insulated the entire unit from the vehicle for shock loads such as driving on corrugations, which is going to prolong the life of the unit over years and years of harsh use.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good design feature.
The most important feature of it is we've actually doubled the performance of it over our previous model, a 200% performance increase. That means that this is going to get your tires up to pressure a lot faster after you're done off-road.
Okay, that's very handy. Can you run us through the various components of the compressor?
Well, what we're looking at here is the manifold unit, which is where you mount the solenoids off. And we talked about the solenoids earlier because they're the electric valve that is opened when you flick the switch on the dash we did earlier, which allows air to flow down the blue tube to the differentials at the front and back of the car.
Yep.
Here we have a pressure switch that makes sure that this compressor is always maintained at a constant pressure when it's on, so you don't have to manually turn it off when it achieves a certain pressure. We've got a coupling on here to plug an air hose into to actually run to your tires to do the filling. Located on the front of the unit, we've got a sintered bronze air filter. Now that's easily washed if it gets dirty and is engineered to keep very, very fine particles such as bull dust out of the system itself, also going to prolong the life of the unit. We've also got an overpressure safety valve equipped into every unit, so that's going to keep it from overpressuring, say if you had a failure of a pressure switch or any sort of a kinking of the line.
We've got all three cars lined up. We'll just see how the whole thing works and how much easier and safer it is to drive through obstacles. Not only will you save track wear and tear, as in you'll prevent the wear and tear of a track without wheel spinning with this vehicle, you'll also save on not damaging your vehicle, because with this twin locked ARB vehicle, you'll be able to crawl through at very, very slow speed, so you won't be damaging and hitting underbody components. So not only will you get through, but you'll get through safer. Okay, here's our first test. We've got a steep incline, there's ruts on either wheel track, it's a little bit wet from recent rains. Okay Ramsey, bring your first vehicle up. This is the unlocked Prado. Okay, a few more revs, Ramsey, see what happens. Okay, hold him there, mate, just hold it there. Okay, what we've got happening here is the front left wheel and the back right wheel are spinning. They're not getting traction. So forward motion is lost. We're stuck. We can't do anything other than reverse out of the situation and either go around it, or if we did have a winch or something like that, you may get up. But we're actually digging the track up here, causing track damage. Okay, Ramsey, reverse him out and we'll bring up the electronic traction control equipped Prado. A few more revs, Ramsey. Keep it going, keep it going. More revs. Okay, hold him there, Ramsey. Now what you've seen there is a perfect example of how far further up this hill this electronic traction control equipped Prado got. The first vehicle was stuck down here. This Prado's come a lot further. You can still see the wheels grabbing and ungrabbing as the brakes lock and unlock on the system. We're still getting a lot of wheel spin and track damage, and potentially you could still damage your vehicle. Your brakes are going on and off. The system will overheat after a while if you keep on giving it the berries with your right foot on the accelerator. So we're going to reverse this car down, nice and easy. That shows you how slippery this is. Okay, Daniel, your go, mate. You've got to drive this hill exactly the same way Ramsey did. First gear, a little bit of momentum and low range. Give it a go. How easy was that? Slippery, undulating and steep. With both the ARB air lockers switched on, the Prado's crawled up here incredibly easy. What more could you want out of a four-wheel drive than that?